Hello, folks. Welcome back. This is Chris in Central Pennsylvania. I like to give credit where credit is due, and I have to say that this objective article in News 24 today renews my faith. Now, I've made some mild criticism of a couple op-ed efforts by one of the authors, but these two authors write a very balanced and objective news report, and it's very refreshing to see. This news report is an update about the Democratic Alliance's trip here to the United States to speak with lawmakers and policymakers. The article is from Siyamtanda Kappa and Amanda Kosa, and it's very balanced. It's news reporting, and I very much appreciate that. So I want to compliment both of those journalists for writing a good story. So, fresh from a week-long DA working trip to Washington, Emma Powell spoke to News 24 on Wednesday. She was accompanied by the DA's Eastern Cape leader and MP, Andrew Whitfield, someone whom I've interviewed in the past, who's also the Deputy Minister of Trade, Industry, and Competition in the Government of National Unity. Now, it's interesting that this pair should be selected. Both are up-and-coming rising stars, if you will, inside the Democratic Alliance. And so perhaps that's why they came. I'm not aware that either of them have had previous trips here with the DA. Perhaps they have, and I'm just unaware of it. But it is an interesting combination. I've met Andrew Whitfield, very articulate, very well informed, very balanced, and well thought out politician. I've never met Miss Powell, but she strikes me that must be the case with her, given her rapid rise and a rather tender age in the Democratic Alliance. So they spent the week meeting with many folks in the states, including the chairperson of the Foreign Affairs Committee at the Senate and in the House. So both of them, interesting, both of whom would be Republicans at this stage. She said their meetings included sessions with Democrats as well as the House side and the chairperson of the Africa Subcommittee, the National Security Council, Africa advisors in the White House, and the Secretary of State, Marco Rubio's senior advisors at the Department of State, plus a variety of think tanks. And they mentioned the Hudson Institute, among others. She said they were well received, but it's very clear that the attitudes towards South Africa have hardened. The Trump administration is going to require very targeted action in terms of fixing the relationship. They're a lot more transactional. Now, I'm not sure what she's referring to. They're a lot more transactional than whom? Diplomacy is a transactional event. She was the shadow minister for Durko, so I'm not really sure what she's getting at. To be fair to her, this is just a quote, and I have put a request into her for an interview. Hopefully she'll honor that, and I can get her to explain what she means by that. But diplomacy, by its very nature, is transactional. You are looking quid pro quo. We will do this if you do that. We will offer this if you do that. Anything else is just foolhardy. The United States giving away billions and billions and billions of dollars in PEPFAR and expecting nothing in return except soft diplomacy and goodwill has proven to be a foolhardy effort. We're getting neither goodwill or the access we desire, courtesy of the $130 billion we've given mostly to Africa, 85% of it, over the past 22 years. All we get is attacked when the generosity dries up. So I'm not really sure what Ms. Powell is talking about, the member of parliament saying they're a lot more transactional. Than whom? The Biden regime? Okay, perhaps, but that wasn't included in the article. And she's quite correct. In terms of fixing the relationship, it's going to take an awful lot of effort. Again, what's lost in the Government of National Unity and the ANC and Agri-SA and John Steenhuisen and so many people in South Africa is that this problem isn't a Trump problem. It's just that we have a leader who's taking action finally. This is a problem that has been building for several years in South Africa-U.S. relationship, owing directly to the actions of the African National Congress. It's as simple as that. I've been telling ANC for years, apparently they don't listen to me, that's their prerogative, but I've been telling anybody to listen that the ANC is pushing themselves towards a very hard future vis-a-vis their relationship with the United States. It's not Trump. On the 6th of February, 2024, bipartisan members of the House of Representatives put forward a House bill, House Resolution 1756, I think it was, or 1754, in which they wanted the government to review its relationship with the view towards punishing South Africa, or at least removing it from AGOA. That's over a year ago. This isn't new. Blaming this on Trump, I'm not saying Ms. Powell's doing that, but blaming this on the Trump administration is just comical. It shows complete cognitive dissonance for the relationship, something I've been pointing out for a long time. People just don't want to get it. I think the Lady R incident should have been a warning shot fired across the bow that the ANC completely ignored in their arrogance. And the rest of South Africa, particularly the glitterati who claimed to be analysts and news reporters, missed entirely. So Ms. Powell added that they want a deal. We're not sure what that deal looks like, but what we were told is that they want action on the Expropriation Act, on race-based laws, and on South Africa's relationship with their enemies, so countries like Iran. And what have I been telling you since Trump broke this story on the 7th of February, and even before that? South Africa's interaction with Tehran, Moscow, and Beijing, as well as Havana, are the problem. And because you ignored us for so long, now you find yourself on the wrong end of the stick when it comes to your race-based laws, because the Trump administration wants action. Now, the response in South Africa is going to be, well, we're a sovereign nation. We do what you want to do. Sure. And so are we. We don't have to give you $500 million a year just because you want it. That was to achieve outcomes for the benefit of South Africans, but you violated South Africa. You violated the Africa Growth and Opportunity Act for years with your oppressive laws and race-based laws, which flaunt the Africa Growth and Opportunity Act. You don't deserve it. So you shouldn't get duty-free access to the U.S. And besides, you're already in a tough boat anyway, because Trump has already said he plans to put 100% tariffs on BRICS countries unless they abandon their plans to try to undermine the dollar as the instrument of international trade. You're a BRICS country. So you're going to get 100% tariffs the way things are going, regardless of Africa Growth and Opportunity Act. Now, the DA's visit to Washington is about a month after Ramaphosa announced during his State of the Nation address that we will not be intimidated. Don't forget that. We will not be bullied, is what he said. We will not be bullied, directly targeting Donald Trump. Not a smart move, Cyril. And then, of course, just a day or so ago, they boasted all over Twitter that they were meeting with the Iranians for the long-term strategic relationship. You can meet with the Iranians all you want, but it's probably not smart to put that on an American social media site. So at that State of the Nation address, Ramaphosa mentioned that he would be sending teams to Tanzania, to France, to convince them to lobby the Americans, because the Americans have got it all wrong. Well, I'm not really sure how this trip went. Ms. Powell says they were greeted well. Hopefully it went well. But we'll have to wait to hear more. Hopefully she'll honor my interview request. Meanwhile, in this article, which I mentioned was very balanced, very well written, this is actual news. I just am gobsmacked that News 24 is still capable of reporting actual news instead of sticking commentary in the news section. UDM leader and Deputy Minister of Defense and Military Veterans, Bantu Holomisa, Major General Bantu Holomisa, criticized the DA's trip to D.C., and he wasn't alone. The Pan-African Congress leader and Land Reform and Rural Development Minister, Zwanele Nyonso, accused the DA of being ill-disciplined. And for good measure, the Good Party's Brett Herron said the DA's visit to the U.S. was in bad judgment. Well, perhaps, that was my question with the video. Why is the DA here? Where is the Government of National Unity team or ANC team, whatever it's going to be? Why aren't they in the States? AfriForum and Solidarity came here, and they've been rubbished by everybody, especially the media. And now the DA's come here. Where is Ronnie Lamola's team? What is Ronnie Lamola doing? He seems about as effective as the Minister for International Relations and Cooperation as he was as the Justice Minister, ensuring that there was no justice in South Africa, and now destroying all relations with the developed world in favor of rogue states, theocracies, totalitarian fascist regimes. Ronnie Lamola, where's your team? Was this your team? 2 representatives from the Democratic Alliance? The government is silent. People would like to know. Again, folks, I did put a request into Member of Parliament Emma Powell, and I hope that either she or Andrew Whitfield will avail themselves of an opportunity for an interview. As always, all my guests are treated with respect. There's no gotcha moments here. Thank you very much. God bless, and we'll see you later, South Africa. Stay frosty.